Hi, Ollie. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Hi Tracy, good to see you.
Now, we've got Ollie today, who's a very special member of Global Tech Advocates and Tech London Advocates, because Ollie sits on the advisory board and has been with Russ right from the start, I would say. But I'd love to be able to ask you, Ollie, a few questions just to be able to get an understanding of what your role is. How did you actually get involved with TLA and GTA? And then I'll take it from there and fire out three more questions. But yeah, go for
Thanks, Tracy. So extraordinary to think that when we gathered, I don't know, just over 100 people probably in East London all those years ago when Russ launched the Tech London Advocates, to think that it would completely grow and grow to be this incredible global family. And I just sort of pinch myself that I've been lucky enough to be on the ride for that. I wear several hats. One is I absolutely love presenting, emceeing, partly because here's the secret, Tracy, you get to meet amazing people. And so whether it's on stage or in green rooms or of course in the audience themselves, I've just been able to meet some extraordinary people. So that is partly what I do professionally. The other two things I love doing, I love helping start things. So I was a co-founder of Startup Britain, the campaign we launched with Number 10. Co-founded the UK's largest schools entrepreneurship scheme, a global literacy campaign called Turn on the Subtitles. And through business, I've helped other people to start and particularly be useful early on. So I've become a shareholder in lots of things. The other thing, which I think you know, Tracy, my passion in life is how do you spot and make useful connections and introductions? So quite a bit of my life I do spend doing that, mostly for the love of it and occasionally getting more involved in those deals. So that gives me an excuse to go zigzagging around.
it. Excellent. So what was the reason you got involved with GTA and TLA? Like, what was that moment that you thought, right, this is something that I need to get involved?
I think it was three things. I think it was a trusted introduction, an organization and a team I, to this day, really rate highly. That was Seven Hills, said, you should meet Russ. The second reason was, and actually put it first these days, but it was Russ himself. And just realizing that this was someone who wanted to give back, who knew the business world, but also knew the power of the potential of global connections.
Yeah.
And also Russ's drive and energy himself. This is Russ Shaw, if you're just tuning in, the founder of the Global Tech Advocates and the Tech London Advocates. And to be honest, I thought the third reason was there was a lot going on in the origins of the Tech London Advocates at that time from the UK government, initiatives like Tech City. And I think it's great when government weighs in and tries to make a difference. I also think there's a lot to be said for grassroots communities, for the private sector being active in their own right and working alongside, if you like, not in any way against, but it just felt refreshing in that sense. So I thought, yes, good to see government doing it all. And also, let's have something which is grassroots up.
That's excellent. So I wanted to hear from you then. What are a couple of specific examples of how the community has benefited you? So you personally, but also you and all the different things that you do in your portfolio career.
I always tend to find, Tracy, that the conversations I have with advocates, whether that's globally in the UK, help me keep ahead of the curve. And so typically the conversations that I'll have, partly on stage, I've been lucky to host almost all of the flagship Tech London Advocates events since the launch, so over a decade, but especially in the corridors and around the edges, just give me an insight. Uh, Not just into what people are prepared to say on the main stage, but what they're really thinking.
Yes.
So it helps me keep ahead. It has certainly helped me build connections. So just recently, I was in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, meeting one of the founders of the Tech Saudi Advocates. Earlier this year in New York, playing a very small role, helping New York to launch its chapter. And then going back over the years, and we'll come back onto this, I know, whether it's in the United States, in India, in China. So it's absolutely because what happens is when you meet an advocate, there's a warmth already there with the relationship. And in
Yeah.
business, that saves time, it creates a positive energy, and it opens doors that might have taken months to do.
Yes, definitely. And I think it helps that everyone feels that they can give and make those connections, right, within the community. So it's so great to hear that you've been able to do that across the globe, and you've been able to do that as a advocate and advisory member, um, as opposed to ones that actually run the working groups behind me and thematic groups. So it's really great to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah.
So
What
I'd
I
love
would
to,
say, Tracy, sorry to interrupt you. What I would say just on that is I have noticed it doesn't actually seem to be, and no community is, um, a group that will put something on a plate for you. You know,
yes,
it really is. The potential is there, the network is there, but the key factor in what you get out of it is you.
yes.
And so
You're leading on to the other question I wanted to ask you, which is, well, a couple of things. One is that you're part of lots of different groups and networks, and you're a super networker and a super connector, as I would phrase it, and I think you phrase that yourself. So, what would you say differs GTA and TLA, Tech London Advocates and Global Tech Advocates, from other organisations that you're part of and other networks?
Well, the obvious answer is the tech bit, but not in the sense that it tends to go super geeky in the sort of deep tech side. It's just the knowledge and the understanding that tech powers every industry.
Yeah.
So it's certainly through that lens. Whereas when I work with certain non-profits globally, certain government initiatives, tech will often be brought in as a sort of sideshow.
Yes.
And then, we'll discuss the impact it's having on an industry. So certainly that lens. I find back to the grassroots element, I find that compelling because it's not an organization that has to toe the line of any one particular government.
Mhm.
Also, despite having an amazing array of sponsors and partners that we're really grateful for, I can't remember, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, I can't remember a single time when I've been told what to say or what not to say. So it doesn't feel in any sense that it's been captured by headline sponsors, which isn't always something you're lucky enough to say in certain global organizations. Also, just the simple variety of organizations represented. I'll
Mhm.
do some very large global gatherings. Very often they're within a very specific industry. Yeah. And again, this community is so much broader than tech, or they're within a single organization. So what you have when you dip into a GTA or a Tech London Advocates event is, hundreds of organizations, and that feels fresh as well.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I think you've hit the nail on the head on the fact that we're agnostic, as we say, so that you can have the freedom to be able to join the dots and also hopefully speak in a way that really gives tech a voice, right? So that's really excellent that you're seeing that because you've got the comparison with all the other different networks. So linked to what you just said earlier on about it starts with you. What advice would you give to others and new people trying to get involved with global tech advocates and tech land advocates? And also those who may be already part of it, but want to be able to navigate better and network better across the community.
Uh, I think with any community, and this is a bit of a cliche, but it is true, is one of the key values that will stand you in good stead is helpfulness and being helpful. So I think everyone will relate to that. But the type of helpfulness I would particularly draw attention to is helpfulness through sharing something either that you've experienced uh, or that you're going to experience.
Mhm.
And so that could be a nugget or a takeaway from a conversation you had, not just I was at this event and it was great, but here's an insight. Also, that generosity in saying, I'm looking forward to, and then you shine a light forward into the future to get things on people's radar. So I think that helps the community to be better connected. I think lots of platforms are available. I personally find LinkedIn, especially seeing through the different pages for GTA and the Tech London Advocates as an example, what's going on. Russ himself is an amazing font in terms of connecting the dots around the world. So actually being actively tuned in, but also there's that generosity as well, I think, in sharing what's going on because
Mhm.
by sharing a story from the community, you're getting it and you onto other people's radar. So it helps, and all of that compounds. Which obviously, on a personal note, ends up raising your profile, but also means that you'll discover really interesting people around the world.
Excellent. So it is a case of tuning in, being active, and I suppose also watching what's happening on LinkedIn and seeing all the different activities because I definitely see it across the globe as well, and of all the locations behind me, and I think there's a lot of cross sharing that can happen as well. So I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and there is a very open attitude in that sense. I mean, funny enough, one of my daughters has just started secondary school, and one of their attitudes is, if there's not a club that does what you want to do, then we're open to creating it, and you can help create it with us. And that's sort of how I feel about, not to compare us to a school, but that's sort of how I feel about the Global Tech Advocates, which is if you spot a working group, A, that you'd like to join, that you'd like to support, or that you feel isn't there but could be there, or that it could do with a certain type of new direction, then the door is open to add to that, to add to the pot.
Excellent. Yeah, that's definitely true. And you need to go and talk to us if you want that. So that's really good. And I just wanted to end then. Could you describe TLA and GTA community in just one or two words?
Um, I would go back in my mind to the huge potential. Although I think the community has achieved a huge amount over a decade, it really does feel like we're just in the foothills
Yeah.
and just getting started in that sense. So I'd say potential. I would go back to grassroots and community. And the cheesy word I'll use, because I do have a reputation for being a bit corny, uh, I would say it does at its best, and I've experienced this all over the world, at its best, it does feel like a family. So I'd go
Oh,
back to that.
excellent. That's so nice. Okay, thank you so much, Ollie. I really appreciate your time today. And it's so good to hear your thoughts about TLA and GTA. So thank you.
Good to see you, Tracy, and thank you.